Real estate in Vancouver has dropped for the 5th consecutive month. Court-ordered listings are shooting up through the roof. We also have mortgage arrears being at all-time highs, not to mention the fact that unemployment is continuing to drop up and the employment records that we are looking at aren't too bright. Vancouver as a whole is under the national average when it comes to employment. But what does this mean for a buyer? What does this mean for a seller here in Vancouver? Well, we're going to get into all that. We have some new data that we're going to be going through at a macro level in Canada and narrowing down the focus here in Vancouver to help with your due diligence. And despite what everybody is saying, and I know there's a lot of you in my comments, I'm not old enough to know what it was in the 90s or in the 80s, but all we have to look at is data, historical data, and any type of markers to help prognosticate the market. I know a lot of people think that I'm in this echo chamber, but I do try to be really open-ended. I base a lot of my decision factors on this data, and that's why with these market updates, I share with you the exact data that I'm looking at. This is not opinion pieces. This is commentaries and other data that we're going to be looking at to help you with your buying and selling needs. So one thing that is definitely holding things up here in the market is the Bank of Canada and their continued pause to the policy rate. We've had 2 consecutive rate holds, and that's not doing anything to help buyers or nudge buyers any closer. They're still wanting to wait for these continued drops. And this commentator from Edge Analytics, you'll see here's the expected BOC policy rate path. The blue is the expected path that most commentators think is going to happen, that we're going to level out here at a 2.5%, just a quarter point. So a lot of people in the marketplace now are just betting on one rate drop by the end of the year, 125 basis point rate drop, and just a 25% chance that's going to happen in September. This commentator from Edge Analytics expects 3 drops by the end of the year. I hope he's right, not only for myself as I have a variable rate mortgage, but also for the market in general. I know that a lot of people think we're about 3 to 4 rate drops away from getting this market into a little bit more activity with these sales, but in the orange, he sees a few drops here ending at a 2% a policy rate in October of 2025. We're going to have to monitor to see how things are going here, and some of the reasonings for his insights in terms of why he thinks there's going to be 3 drops instead of 1 comes down to some of this data that we're seeing here when it comes to employment. One of the reasons why this commentator thinks there's going to be 3 more rate drops by the end of this year from the Bank of Canada is due to the fact of our job report. So you can see here, Stats Canada produces 2 job reports. One is a household survey, which is the one here is the LFS, and the other draws on payroll remittance data. The payroll data lags, but is much more reliable indicator. Obviously, if they are taking data from payroll remittance instead of a cold call to a household, A, when you call somebody, a lot of people don't pick up their phone calls these days, and B, how truthful is the information? So usually the SEPH is the one that's a lot more reliable, but it lags a little bit. Obviously, pay periods are every 2 weeks. There is some lag in that where you can get some real-time data when you are polling and calling people on a daily or weekly basis. So keep that in mind when you look at the chart below showing a growing divergence between the household report, LFS, and the less followed but more reliable payroll survey, SEPH. One of these is very wrong, and if it's the labor force survey, odds of further rate cuts are much higher than markets expect. So as you can see that the problem here is with this blue, this is the payroll remittance, we're just above that 0% factor, seeing that there's really no employment growth here in Canada at all. And you can see here, he states that the payroll data from late last month was downright atrocious, pointing at a decline of 54.1 thousand month over month in March, which built up to a 40.2 thousand decline in February. And it means that annual employment growth is a whisker away from 0 and a level only ever seen previously in recession. So Canada is not making new jobs. We also know that the unemployment rate continues to move higher and higher. We're lucky here in Vancouver, it is under the national average. The Bank of Canada is going to have to give in some relief to people that are losing their jobs or not having that job market to help with their mortgage payments. So these are one of the arguments as to why he thinks there's going to be multiple rate drops, not just the one. And with a lot of other people in the space, and I know a lot of you don't agree with me in my comments, at some point, if we are seeing 3 to 4 rate drops by the time of next year in 2026, the market will start to rebound a little bit. I'm not saying pricing is going to go up, but inventory is going to start to be able to move a little bit quicker, and we're going to see some more sales in the area. As we narrow our focus here in Vancouver, you can see that Vancouver home sales slide in May. Prices are under pressure. Demand remains pretty subdued across Vancouver, where seasonally adjusted home sales fell 6.5% in May to hit levels last seen in early 2020. So we know what happened in 2020. That was the pandemic, and it definitely crippled the market for a couple months. And that, I think, is why I'm more optimistic than pessimistic in the Vancouver marketplace, that despite COVID, a global pandemic, a global economy that is much worse than what we're seeing right now, it didn't cripple our real estate. We had 6-month wave, maybe 8-month wave where things were hard. We started to recover and had some life, but it didn't drop pricing. It didn't collapse the market. And I don't think the environment that we are in now is nearly as bad as it was during the pandemic years whatsoever. But you can see here that in terms of monthly Vancouver monthly home sales, we are getting back down to this territory that we saw in 2020. But you can see that with these home sales, as it dropped, it didn't take too long before it popped right back up. And I'm not saying that we're going to have this massive V-shaped recovery. I'm more saying a flat line here for the next year, maybe up to 2 years. But I don't think we're going to see these significant price drops that a lot of people are asking for or wanting and hoping. I mean, it would be nice for the bulk majority of people for property to drop 20, 30, or 40%. But I mean, you got to walk that out with logic. Even if there was a correction of 10%, if the market corrected 10%, people would jump on properties. They would not continue to wait. If all of a sudden there was a discount in terms of property and there was value out there, people would make that call. I see in the marketplace right now, there are a ton of buyers. Deals are very hard to get put together. There are offers out there, but both sellers and buyers can't get to terms on a lot of these deals. So it's not that these sales are stagnant because there's not buyers out there. It's just we're really far apart in terms of these deals, but we're not 10, 20, 30% apart on a lot of these transactions. So that's why I don't think we're going to see a 30 or 40% drop in pricing, which a lot of people in the comments say, because even if property did drop 10%, that would entice enough buyers to get into the marketplace there just on that sense alone. So how's it look in terms of the last decade? Now that we have the data here in for May in terms of single family home sales and condo sales in across Greater Vancouver. So you can see with single family homes, here is the black line. Outside of our friend 2020 in the pandemic, we're the second lowest in home sales in the last 10 years. For condo sales, again, outside of the pandemic in 2020, we're the lowest in condo sales as well. And year over year changes in new listings. You can see that single family is about 9% increase. There's actually a decrease a little bit in the condo segment of 2% a year over year. And for a total of just under that 4% marker in terms of changes in Vancouver listings. When we go to active inventory on the MLS, we can see that inventory levels continue to build up 25% year over year and now at a decade high across segments. And you can see in 2025 here with these black lines, we've had now 5 consecutive months of inventory, active inventory on the MLS. We are outperforming anything of the sort. Even back to 2019, we're outperforming that metric by over 2,000 active listings on the MLS. Single family inventory, all-time highs in the last decade. Condo inventory, again, all-time highs in the last 10 years since 2015. So that is making things a challenge, right? So that's exactly the reason why you have to be priced so sharply in these markets. There's so much to choose from. People don't even care about putting in a lowball offer because there's 2 or 3 or 4 other properties that are very similar, maybe even better in better locations, that they won't even bother putting in a lowball offer because they can go get it somewhere else. Unless you have a very unique property in a really good area and there's not a lot of it, chances are in and around Vancouver, there's going to be something that's very specific, and people aren't looking in just one segment. They will look from Burnaby to Richmond to Coquitlam to Vancouver. Buyers right now don't really care. They're not, from what I've seen, and I do a lot of volume here in terms of what buyer behavior is and just checking out the people that are coming to my opens as well as my own buyer clients. Most of them have a pretty open playing field and they just want value right now. No one's wanting to pay what they perceive as market pricing. Everyone wants a discount. Everybody wants a deal. And this is what happens when you're seeing inventory levels at this marker. And then you can see down below, total months of inventory came in at 7.7 in May, the highest for the month since the financial crisis. So now we're looking at data going back to 2008. And that just shows us here in the charts here, Vancouver condo month of inventory, Vancouver single family month of inventory. in terms of the type of market that we're dealing in now. So for you out there, if you're not understanding what month of inventory is, it's essentially designating what kind of market is it. Is it a buyer or seller's market? Between 4 to 6 months of inventory is a balanced market. Under 4 months of inventory is a seller's market. Above 6, you're getting into buyer market conditions, and even with an all-time high of 7.7 months of inventory. And that just speaks to the market. I mean, even since the financial crisis, just being a little bit in buyer's market conditions doesn't happen all too often. And that's why I say to buyers, and it's not to try to manipulate it or anything of that nature, but we don't live in an arena where these prolonged buyer market conditions last for. And you can see in some of the history, such as the pandemic, the financial crisis, it doesn't last too long. There can be a V-shaped recovery. Like I said, I'm going to preface this again because you guys hammer me in the comments. I'm not saying this is going to change overnight, but I think, you have the course of the next 6 to 8 months where things are going to be quite flatline, but I don't think things are going to drop quite drastically. And when we look at these charts here, and these portray 15 years in terms of data. So when we go and look at the Vancouver single family month of inventory, it's even a little bit higher than the average. It's above 8%. But you can see that over the last couple of years, we've had like a build up and then it drops down, a build up and it drops down. But there hasn't been a prolonged area where it's really stayed above this 6 marker, which denotes a buyer's market mentality. So this is 15 years of data, and there's only been a data point in 2012, 2013, 18, 19, 20, and then here in 25 where it's been in buyer market conditions. In the last 15 years, and when we look at the data, a lot of where we've been in is been in seller market conditions. So I think this is to show you these graphs and show you data from StatsCan that these are conditions that we don't see that last very, very long. When we get into the Vancouver condo months of inventory, between the 4 and 6 months of inventory is the buyer market conditions. But for Vancouver condos, a lot of it has been in these seller market conditions. And that's why when we look at frameworks where we've been above 6, it still hasn't happened. It's happened about 5 times in the last 15 years. So, again, you can talk about if you want to roll the dice and wait for everything to drop to the lowest point and make that decision then, but it's very hard to time the market. All we can do is look at data in the last 15 years, compare it to a time where there has been a big economic cloud over Canada and the world, and the last one definitely was the pandemic. So when we see both of these charts here in Vancouver single family, we know that 2020 it was not a great market and it started to shoot up quite quickly. So you can see that the year after COVID, it dropped back into seller market conditions. Again, here, 2020, a little bit higher, actually all-time high with Vancouver condos. And the next year in 2021, it dropped to seller market conditions. So when we look at the last global effect where there was a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, we could see the market in both Vancouver single family and Vancouver condos rebound in the next market. Is it going to play out exactly like this? Perhaps. I do think in a year, things will get better. Is it going to be super drastic? I don't think so. It's going to be really dependent on those rate holds. But before you jump to the conclusion that we're going to see these rate drops here, let's look at the data and compare it to COVID. And I would love to. I'm sure you're going to let me hear it in the comments, anyways. But that's where I'm coming from with things in that space as a whole. Lastly, here, just diving into the Vancouver MLS home price index, we know that the seasonally adjusted home price index fell an estimated 0.9% month over month, the 5th consecutive decline. So we're seeing the drop in pricing here. This is starting to get a prolonged portion. This was a lot deeper of a run than what we saw in 2023. Rounding things out here when it comes to the court-ordered listings, pricing, where do we go from here with all of this? So the Vancouver MLS HPI shows that there was an estimated drop of 0.9% month over month for 5th consecutive month of price declines, right? So how long is this valley going to last for? We had the biggest valley here lasted from around like 2018 to 2021 before it started going on a run there. So there was 3 years where pricing dropped down and then started to pick up some steam. So it's going to be interesting to see how things laid out here, because this has been the biggest blip in the radar. But if we take out that one, back into 2016, there was a slight dip and then it rebounded. And then again, just after COVID, it dipped down and then recovered again. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But at the end of the day, even where we are at on a downward trajectory, you're always wanting to buy on the down low. It will pop out at some point, and even where pricing is, it's still near all-time highs in the 90th percentile here. And then the monthly changes in Vancouver MLS HPI, You can see that pretty much in 2021 to 2022, there was nice gains there. And then since January of 2022 until this year, the last 3 years, we mostly seen price drops. And we're going to go into some of that data in terms of how properties appreciate over the last 3 years. But before we get into that, also wanted to show you some of this court-ordered active listings, how this has just been on a massive run since 2024. And on 2025, it's just going almost completely straight up. And that's not a surprise. We know that there's a record number of mortgage renewals coming here in 2025 and even more in 2026. So I think this chart is going to get uglier. And then when it comes to delinquencies in mortgages here in Vancouver, this is Royal Bank and this is CIBC. You can see that Royal Bank's almost at an all-time high, at a little bit of a dip down, but we're still seeing a lot of delinquencies here. And then CIBC was trending downward. And now as we finish quarter one of 2025, they're getting back up to all-time highs here as well. So this is going to be problematic. And then again, in terms of the Vancouver unemployment rate, it's continuing to pick up steam from 2023. My argument with unemployment rate, I think these numbers here, just because of the high price of housing here in Vancouver, I think the unemployment rate here with a lot of the job losses are more tied with people who are renters. And that's another reason why I think the rental market continues to drop and to suffer because it is so prohibitive, the cost to buy here. Most people that are buying and my clients that I have and other people that I speak to, they're quite secure with their financing, quite secure in their job. So I don't know if there's a huge correlation with the unemployment rate here in Vancouver with the housing market per se. I think this is more a correlation to show that why the rental market continues to sag, but that's where things are at. And when we look at some of these data points here, and I quickly wanted to drop this off just so we can go back a little bit and see where things are at. So let's go with the residential composite. So this goes with everybody together. And I want to look specifically at the greater Vancouver area here. So benchmark price overall is 1.17 million. And then you can see here, we can look at the 1-year change, the 3-year change, and the 5-year change. In Greater Vancouver, over the last 3 years, we saw a 6.2% 3-year change, 2.9% 1-year change over Greater Vancouver as a whole. If we get more specific to single family with Greater Vancouver, over the last 3 years, minus 4.3% in pricing, 3.2% drop in the last year. So in terms of single family detached, the bulk of the drop has been in this last year. And then for townhouse and condos here, 5.3% drop 3.1% drop in Greater Vancouver over the last 3 years for townhomes, and 3.4% in the last year. And then with apartments, a 2.3% drop over the last 3 years, and then a minus 2.4% drop year over year. So despite the challenges of this market and coming out of COVID, there hasn't been these massive drops overall in the marketplace. What we're seeing in the marketplace, because I have around 7 listings, and with the people that are selling that bought within the 5-year, people are definitely not seeing gains. Most of them are actually seeing losses, not even close to this. So I'm a little bit interested to see the context in these markets here. So that's all I have for you for today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to enjoy the comment section below. And until this next one, I'll see you later.